Okay, with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 48918C, consideration of student expulsion, student case 24-20. We had a motion by Trustee McAllister, seconded by Trustee Lopez Jimenez, and carried unanimously. Let's see, is that all?
A roll call.
Oh, by roll call vote to accept finding of facts for readmission for student case number 24-20.
Actually, it wasn't a readmission. That's a typo. It was for an expulsion, so not readmission.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Expulsion. Okay. And then during tonight's closed session, the board acted to authorize the district superintendent or designee to notify a temporary certificated employee, temporary social science teacher pursuant to Ed Code Section 44954A, that the employee will be released from employment effective the date set forth in the resolution, last day of school. And Trustee Romo Flores, McAllister, and Lopez Lopez Jimenez voted in favor of the release, and Potmasil and Lopez Pardo were absent. Okay. So are there any adjustments to the agenda?
There are not.
Okay. Trustee McAllister, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we have special recognition for 2023-2024 retirees.
All right. So I am here to recognize our wonderful group, great, strong group of teachers and one classified employee who are retiring this year. I think only 2 of them are present, so they're going to get more airtime than the rest of them. This is not going to be the only recognition we do, though, on June 4th. Are they not working? Do we have the monitors working in front? Yeah, we'll get you the slides so you can see them. So they will have a recognition on June 4th at the high school in the Culinary Arts Room. And Karen, what time is that at? 3 p.m. So, yeah, but we wanted to recognize them officially at a board meeting as well. So our first retiree is Ilda Magallanes, who is a longtime classified employee, most recently at the Fitch Mountain School as our bilingual office assistant. She actually retired in December, but we loved working with Hilda and miss her dearly and are just so grateful for her smile and how she greeted all our kids and our staff every day and how she helped in the front office. So she's already missed, and hopefully we'll see her on June 4th and give her another hug. Mr. Linker, John Linker, is leaving from Healdsburg High School. Mr. Linker is a wonderful teacher. He taught my 3 children, Trustee Romo Flores' 3 children, taught Trustee Lopez Jimenez as well as Lopez Pardo, who's not here. Just a wonderful guy, an inspiration to kids all throughout the community. So he is going to be a loss. And I think he'll stick around and we'll see him from time to time. And I think he does intend to actually continue teaching in college a little bit as well. So not going to totally abandon it, but he's going to be a loss for Healdsburg. And then we have Miss Connie Petterite, and very similar to Mr. Linker, she is one of my happy places in the district. I love visiting her classroom and how structured it is and how she loves on her kids. I got to be principal of her boys and got to know her through that. And then when I became superintendent, got to see the fantastic teacher that she is. She is with us today. So Connie, would you come up? We just have a little something for you. So Connie will have been teaching in the district for 22 years and 4 months when she retires. So a lifetime of service to the community and to our children. So thank you so much for everything you do. You're going to be missed. Yeah, that's for you. You're getting more on the floor.
Can I say something about Connie?
Yes, please.
Connie is the best. She taught all 3 of our kids 2nd grade. I volunteered in her classroom quite a bit. I've spent a lot of time with her, and just to say that she is a remarkable teacher who has given so many gifts that are going to be giving to students for the rest of their lives is not overstating it one little bit. She is the best. And the love and inspiration and love of learning and joy, and as you said, structure, always the kindest kind of structure, just is amazing. And I have learned so much from you. That is you're part of the reason that I'm sitting up here, is that working with you made me realize how much I wanted to be a part of giving back to the district. So thank you so much for everything that you've done for our family and countless other families. And we love you dearly. And we wish you all the best in this next chapter.
Then we have Miss Arlie Hahn. Arlie is also a longtime teacher, 28 years in the district, and her kids came through. Her son actually was a basketball coach for my boys, but she has worked, I think, is it every school? I think she's worked at every school as a special education teacher. Not Fitch, okay, but at HES, technically still part of HES. So she's served students at every level, and she's served our neediest students who are students with disabilities, and making sure that they're getting the support and attention that they need to be successful. So she is going to be missed. Most recently, she's been at the high school and has been kind of the lead in special education there. So we're going to miss Arlie an awful lot as well. She's not here, right, Sarah? No. And then last but not least, we have Diane, and I promised her I wouldn't say very much, so I won't. But we are going to miss Diane dearly. She's kind of my go-to thought partner across the hall. We just yell at each other from our desks in a loving way. But she has done really strong work to build so many support systems for kids here, and to really make sure that our first impetus in terms of how we deal with kids is from a position of loving on them and giving them what they need. So we are grateful, the whole community is grateful, Diane, to everything you've done, and we got a little something for you. We always say nobody's irreplaceable, but like this group feels pretty irreplaceable. So I hope to see you all on the 4th so we can recognize them a little bit more and celebrate them, and want to thank everybody on this list, but especially Connie and Diane, who are here, for everything that you've done for our kids. So thank you so much. And the next thing was supposed to be a student trustee report, but Thomas is on the baseball team for the high school, and they made playoffs and got scheduled tonight. So they're currently playing St. Joe's of Alameda in Alameda, so he's not going to be here tonight. So we'll save the recognition for another time.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right, thank you, Chris. And then we have celebrating successes, 9.1 Healdsburg Junior High School lesson study project in mathematics.
Okay, I'm just going to kick this off and then turn it over to our amazing team here. We've got Gloria Hurtado and Robin Doherty here tonight, along with Joan. Where did she go? Did she disappear? There we go. Joan Easterday, who's been the facilitator for this really important work, our lesson study work. We've been doing this about 7 years now. And so I just want to say thank you for sticking with this. This is teacher-led work that's making a real impact on student data. As we know, Healdsburg Junior High was awarded a Distinguished School Award, and one of the primary reasons is because of our math data in closing the achievement gap for historically underserved students, and primarily students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged. So this team has a whole lot to do with that Distinguished School Award. So I just want to recognize that and then turn it over. They're going to share a little bit about what they've been learning and researching, and better understanding to improve our practice and provide a better math education for our middle school students. So thank you for being here.
Okay, so I think in order to ground us, it's only fair to give you a math problem first. Yes.
Thank you.
So this is a problem we presented to all of our students in the 6th grade class, the 7th grade class, and of course the 8th grade class. And how we present it is there's no right or wrong answer. All we want you to do is come up with an argument. So if you want to take just like 1 minute, see if you can decide which one doesn't belong. All right, so not only do we want our students to come up with an answer, but our whole point of this whole lesson study process was to have them to make a claim. And in order to make a claim, we needed them to write their arguments out. And we learned that our students need some support in that area. And that was the title of our lesson study. So making a claim, and we have the power to change expectations. So how do we change expectations for self and others through our lesson study? You going? Okay. So one of our problems of practice we noticed is we have students that don't engage in the math. And one area in particular were students with IEPs. In all of our classes, we noticed they don't engage, they don't share their ideas, they don't feel seen, they don't feel like other people can learn from them. And we had to change that. And they don't think that people want to learn their ideas, which is complete nonsense to us. So what can we do to make our students seen? Well, that's where we started. If our students can see themselves as belonging to our math classes and seeing themselves as mathematicians, then the rest of their skills can grow as well, not only in math, but in communication. Well, they did the problem that you all just looked at, and here were some of the answers that we got. Things like I picked C because it looks off. Things like I picked D because it's a different shape. I picked B because there's only one piece.
Some of my claims were, it looks weird, which is not very mathematical.
No.
And the most popular one was IDK. I don't know.
So we needed to grow from that. And so our first re-engagement is let's try some sentence frames, something that I know our English classes do a lot. And so we kind of pulled from that idea and we came up with things like, well, I know that blank, blank, and blank belong because blank. And then, of course, blank doesn't belong because of blank, blank, blank. And check out the more writing that we got just from pulling out those sentence frames. So we see evidence, we see reasons, we see things much better than it just looks off. But then we thought, well, what if we go ahead and specifically ask them, I want 3 more details. Can you add 3 more details to your writing? And check out Pablo's awesome writing. Look where he started on the left, and now check out his paragraph on the right.
So the reason we want 3 more details is when it comes to state testing. If you go back to the first slide where the kids said, I think that one's 3/8, and I think this one, that's not enough. You get a 0. So in state testing, not only do you have to show all of the math, and even if you do all the math correct, you still get a 0. Not only do you have to show all the math, but then you have to explain each part. And then you have to have a dialogue why this one is different than the other one, or this one is the greatest because, or these are all equal because. So I was working with this little one. He was my focal student. He wrote ideas on the first 2, and then he stopped. And if you notice, he's saying something like, well, B and C, but he's not explaining it. But the next time we went back to revisit, he had more information to say.
And here's one of my students. Ariel was one of my focal students, and we just really worked on writing and saying our becauses. One time I interviewed him, and I tried to ask him, well, which one doesn't belong? And I couldn't figure out what shape he was actually talking about. And as you can see in his writing, he actually used the shapes. He used the word triangle. He used the word hexagon. And so he was able to complete his little paragraph. This also helped our students who don't tend to struggle as much. We still were able to pull out exemplars. So here's Dariella's paragraph. Just did an excellent example of explaining her reasoning, why one belonged, why the other three belonged, and was just able to make a clear picture. So we had to show this one to all of our students. This is like the star example that we want all of you to shoot for. And then they really made it click for a lot of our students what it is we're actually asking them to do, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, making that connection to what we actually want them to do during state testing is was huge this year. And actually, that was one of our findings. Now our students are able to write their arguments, able to make their claims and connect it with evidence. And I know I saw it during state testing. I was able to just glance and see, hey, these guys are writing sentences. They're taking their time doing their performance task. So they were able to continue their work on the actual state test. So fingers crossed that they did pretty good. So one more time, one of our findings was how important that re-engagement lesson is, allowing our students to make mistakes, allowing them to do multiple drafts like they do in their English class. That was just a huge piece that we found really benefited our students with their math explanations. And then our second finding is just how all our subjects really are connected with writing, how our writing connects with language arts and science. And we all want our students to be able to write claims and argue their claims. So I'm definitely excited to reach out to my other colleagues and other subjects, and let's see how all this is connected. Let's see if we can come up with ideas that actually connect all of us. So in conclusion, we feel like our focal students, and we really focused in on our students with IEPs, they're now sharing. They're now able to talk with groups. I've noticed that in my class, they're not quiet anymore, and they're actually speaking math stuff, so which is really what we want them to do. So hopefully now they see themselves as being visible, as being important, and have really good ideas in our classes. Any questions or comments?
It's great. Love it.
So one of the most powerful tools that we found was that we interview our students. We sit down and talk to them and explain to them that we're here to learn, to see what we can do to be better at our job. And the kids are always amazed by saying, "You want to know from me?" I said, "I have to know from you because you're the pathway to the future." So we sit down and interview our kids about what they like, what they do at home, have they ever seen math out of the home, and interview them. And what happens is that brings up their agency just a little bit.
Yeah, and they definitely see math more as just a worksheet that we gave them. It's actually beyond that. It's math is everywhere. I think one of my favorite quotes came from Michael. Math is the reason why fights happen. Because if you don't check your math on your paycheck or when sales happen in stores, then you're getting ripped off. So, good job, Michael.
I want to say really quickly, too, I meant to mention when I did the introductions that all three teachers of the junior high are participating in this. Carlos Madrigal Laura couldn't be here tonight. He had other obligations with Sonoma State University, but all three have been participating in this. So just want to recognize Mr. Madrigal Laura, who just couldn't be here tonight. So.
Yeah. I just want to say I was able to be at one of the math studies, lesson studies, where the room was just packed with adults watching. And so the fact that, you know, you're taking that risk and putting yourself out there to that learning experience was just fabulous. So just want to heads up to you.
That's an amazing time to have people from Sonoma State, San Francisco State, UCLA. They come in and they watch what's going on. They each have a different job, and really it's professional development right there. So as soon as we're done with our kids, they come in, they ask questions, they ask about teacher moves, they ask why we change things. And then they just do a professional development on things that they saw, next steps to go. So it's really powerful.
Yeah, we get really good advice because there's always a math commentator, so helps us comment on the math standards, and then an equity commentator to make sure that our moves are actually an equitable practice. So
That's
that's
very
really
courageous
huge.
of
It
you
is.
all and your students. So, yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I was totally going to argue for C, which none of the examples did. Maybe I'll write something up and send it over. Yeah, I already went down a different path. I'm ready to articulate my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. So
Public
the
comments.
public comments on consent and non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent action item. Sorry. The public may address the board on any consent action item or item not listed on the agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, during this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person. So we have Stephanie Turk. Hello.
Sorry, my props. My name is Stephanie Turk. I'm an HUSD parent, and I also am a teacher of enrichment. I teach yoga once a week to the first graders, and I love it. They're great. So I'm here as wearing my environmental climate change activist hat. I am a volunteer for Healdsburg Climate Action, and I'm also on the advisory committee for the Regional Climate Protection Authority. From that work, I've learned that transportation is by far the biggest source of emissions in Sonoma County, and that we should be doing everything that we can to lower emissions. I've also learned that there are air pollution hotspots created when multiple cars are idling in the same small space, which is what happens at pretty much all school pickup lines. So knowing those two things, also knowing that involving children in climate work is the way that we can survive together into the future. I, along with some other volunteers, began a project around this time last year to make all of our schools idle-free. So this is across our district and as well as the private schools in Healdsburg and also Geyserville, and there's another school in Santa Rosa that started this project. And the project is from the EPA. It's all downloadable, it's all free. And it involves an educational component where a class will take measurements on who's idling at their pickup line. Then they'll begin a promotional campaign with the school with the support of the whole administration. This one brought my water bottle up. It says be idle free. Everybody gets a sticker. There are these signs posted out front to encourage people not to idle. And then after that, they take measurements again, do the statistics, find out how much idling is reduced, and it becomes a project that the kids own. So this project is underway at Geyserville Elementary, at the Healdsburg School, at St. John's School, and in some way it did start at HES, and I'm really grateful for Principal Doherty and the staff who had decided to kind of eliminate the pickup line altogether in the beginning of the year and ask parents to park and walk in. So that was a great help. But I think we could go a little further, and that's why I wanted to make this comment today. I think starting in the next school year, if we made a commitment to make the whole district an idle-free district, that we could make it part of our culture. That's just something that we don't do. We turn off our engines. We don't create extra air pollution and emissions. It's not good for kids. It's not good for growing lungs. And there's no need to idle a vehicle for more than 10 seconds, if you're going to sit in the car. We're working, I should also say, there's some funding available for this from the Rotary Club of Healdsburg, and they have donated 20 of these signs to the district. So we just need that missing piece of getting the support from inside the schools. So we need to have ideally a class in every one of the schools be the leader for this project and do the data collection and the marketing, if you will, and then be kind of the champions of this. Because as you know, it needs to come from the kids. So that's what I'm asking today, for more support on this project. I think it's a really meaningful project, and I think it touches a lot of important aspects of learning how to live in this world and care for our environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope those signs will be in Spanish as well.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Very good. Thank you, Stephanie. Next, we have Richard Cochran. Am I saying that right? Cochran.
Yes, my name is Richard Cochran, and I'm a Healdsburg resident. I'm also part of Climate Action Healdsburg. Climate Action Healdsburg put on the Climate Fest at the Healdsburg Plaza on April 21st. I hope you all attended. There were over 65 booths at that event, all manned by people trying to advance the protection of our climate. Anyway, but Climate Action Healdsburg has a variety of subcommittees, and I'm on the anti-idling committee. Our chair is Stephanie, but I walk an hour every day for exercise, and I walk by the junior high, the elementary school on First, the Fitch Mountain campus, and I see repeatedly parents sitting in their cars, letting their engines idle. And that bothered me a great deal, and that motivated me to participate in this committee. I reached out to Mike Potmacil, and I see Mike's not here tonight, and asked, how could we connect with Healdsburg Unified School District? As Stephanie indicated, Geyserville is already embarked on this. We've connected with St. John's, the Healdsburg School, Westside School. They're all progressing in this program. So Mike, I guess, talked to the superintendent and got some tentative approval for these signs that could be placed at the various schools at the pickup places or the pickup and drop-off places. So my Rotary Club gave us a $2,000 grant to pay for things like this. So we certainly hope you'll utilize them and that you'll get involved in this program to help reduce air pollution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the approval of consent agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite governing board action on all consent agenda items which do not typically require discussion. Items pulled and thereby excluded from the consent agenda will be acted upon individually. Any items can be removed, deleted, or held for discussion from the agenda by the request of a board member. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. I just want to thank the community for all their donations. Very appreciative. Okay, public comments on agenda items.
We do not.
Okay. All right, so we have 12.1 student learning.
Hi.
Hello.
So the 12.1A is consideration of a new advanced placement biology textbook. Thankfully, we have our teacher in the audience, so I'm going to invite her up here in just a second. Karen Wilkinson. She is currently teaching AP Environmental Science and doing a bang-up job. I'm so excited. It's the course I used to teach. And it's very exciting to have both AP Environmental Science and AP Biology returning to Healdsburg High. It's on a 2-year rotation, just like chemistry and physics is, so they're taught every other year. So students could take AP Chem, AP Physics, AP Environmental Science, and AP Bio. Karen pointed out to us that the book that we're using was published around 2014. So some things have changed in the last decade in terms of science and the course, the exam that the students have to take. And so it's time for a new text. I'm going to let Karen speak a little bit about the specifics here and the book that she's chosen. This is a discussion item, so we're not deciding tonight. If it pleases the board, we'd bring it back for consent next month. Karen.
Good evening.
Good
Thanks for
evening.
having me. Yeah, so as Erin mentioned, the textbook that we currently have is from 2014, which is beyond the scope of what AP Central approves in terms of the textbook. They periodically refresh the course content, and that textbook no longer aligns. I'd like to propose that we adopt this textbook. It's the same publisher that we've used for the AP Environmental Science textbook that was approved last year. And so I used that this year, and it's a similar approach for this course. It's very well aligned with the course exam description, and the AP Environmental Science textbook has proved to be an excellent resource. It's the only textbook in all of my years of teaching that I've actually expected the students to read almost the whole thing, and that they report the same thing. That's been very helpful. So I'm excited to adopt biology for the AP course. And use it in preparation for our course next year. I think it's going to be an excellent resource to help our students be successful, not only in building their biology concept knowledge, but also being able to have a firm chance at passing the AP exam.
Great.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No. Thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you. I kind of want to look at it.
Yeah, it'll be available for viewing in the office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I can just come into the office and look at it. Thank you.
Okay, 12.1B.
Yeah.
Healdsburg High School new course outline proposal for 24-25.
Yeah, so another example of teacher leadership and teachers pointing out how we can do better for students. We have one of our special educators in the audience, Sarah Ronas, who's going to come up here and join me in just a second. We offer a couple of different iterations of mathematics at the high school. Most of our students take Integrated Math 1 as freshmen. We do have some students who've taken a course taught often by Ms. Ronas for students with disabilities that is not the Integrated Math 1 course. And Ms. Ronas pointed out to us that she thinks we can do better. And so we've had a number of meetings with the special education team, Diane Conger, the site leadership, and have come up with an idea that we're really excited about, which is offering a 2-year Integrated Math 1 course, specifically designed for our students with disabilities. We know that, and you'll hear more when we get into the LCAP in June, that we need to make some improvements for our students with disabilities, particularly in their access to the core content. And so if we have 10 to 12 students every year who don't have access to the core content as they should, that presents a problem, right? They're not going to do well on the CASP. And so Sarah also co-teaches in Integrated Math 1 with Mr. Sheehy and said, I think our kids can do this. They might need to hear it differently or have things retaught. And so this idea of a 2-year math class where they would hit all of the Integrated Math 1 content over those 2 years, designed specifically and only for students with disabilities and able to support them to access the core content. Whereas currently they've been in a math fundamentals class where it's not completely absent of the core content, right? But it's not necessarily to the rigor to get them through IM1. They worked with the math department chair, Bernadette Calhoun, to draft the course outline that's in the packet. So that's been co-written, but primarily written by the math department chair. So the mathematics teacher wrote that in consultation with myself, Diane, and the special education department. So I'm going to invite Sarah to come up and give us a few more words about the why and kind of understanding how we feel this will fit into the picture to better serve our students with disabilities.
So hi, I'm Sarah Ronas. I'm one of the education specialists at Healdsburg High School, and thanks for taking the time to listen this evening. So what Erin said, everything she said is 100% true. So as a special education teacher, the kids that are in special education kind of have 2 or 3 options for math. The first, as Erin stated, is math fundamentals, and that's typically reserved for students who have 3 to 4 special education classes. There's a class called Pre-IM, which is what I teach, and that's a prep class for students who are going into IM1. And then we have students who go straight into IM1 and usually have an IM1 support class. So we kind of were looking at those models and talking about how things would work. And our students do struggle to pass IM1. I think part of that is because of foundational skills. It takes a little bit longer sometimes for some of our kids to get the foundation down to move on to that higher level math. So when Aaron started talking, Aaron, I, Diane, Arlie, started talking about how we could change things, one of the things we thought was more time. Aaron found this course that is a 2-year algebra class, an IM1 course, that we feel would create more access. It's more accessible for the students that we work with that have moderate abilities in math. One of the other reasons I really like this proposal is, I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but this state is doing like an alternative diploma track. Having this math class for kids in special education, I feel like would really open the door for those students who are currently on certificate of completion to go to that alternative diploma track. I really love the fact that the middle school was here talking about how their work with math, because I think that directly relates to the high school. So I just think this is a great idea. I think that spending more time on basic concepts will give our students better access. I also strongly believe that after completing a 2-year IM1 class, the kids will be better prepared for IM2. I think Ms. Calhoun has been here before, and there can be a rough transition from IM1 to IM2. I think that giving our students more time to acquire those skills would certainly be beneficial and would lead to an increased success rate for IM2.
Just to clarify and reiterate a few things, in the board packet, there's a chart there that explains the differences between A to G requirements, HUSD requirements for a traditional diploma, and then AB 181 that is allowing a path for students who may have been on a certificate of completion route to earn an alternative diploma. And so this course will support those students, but as Sarah said, we think that we are going to have some kids who can get through IM2 as well, that they nail IM1 over 2 years, and now they can take IM2 and possibly earn a traditional high school diploma. So it offers a bunch of different options. One other thing that's alluded to in that in the paperwork that you have in front of us is that we'd use a different textbook. Currently, we use CPM, College Mathematics. It is heavy language. We've done some scans of our environment around and talked to other special educators and math teachers around the region and have found that some of our colleagues are using a math book called Big Ideas. In their integrated math, their traditional integrated math 1 course. And so we took a look at the book. We had some sample copies brought for Sarah and Bernadette to take a look at. And so kind of the 1-2 on this, just to foreshadow, is that if this course is approved, that the next step then would be to approve the Big Ideas textbook for these. We think we have maybe 9 to 15. That's kind of the range of students. So it wouldn't be a huge buy, but in order to provide a textbook that we feel our students would have more success with, it has, it's just a little more concrete and kind of straight to the point of what they need to learn. So with that, what we're doing here is we're discussing this tonight. If it pleases the board, we bring it back for consent. And on that same agenda is where we'd have a discussion about the text, and the idea is then hopefully getting approved in those 2 board meetings in June so we could purchase the text and be ready to go for the first of the year. So, any questions for either Sarah or I?
I don't have any questions, but I really appreciate you explaining so thoroughly kind of what all the benefits are, and it sounds great. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that we're investigating the alternate diploma pathway versus just a certificate of completion. So thank you for that.
Really, and honestly, and this is, I'll say this in one more special ed not related thing, but I think you guys will want to know. I just really think that this could open up a lot of doors for kids. Yeah. And I just think that's so important, just as a teacher, but then also if we want to look at it from a district standpoint, we want all of our kids to be getting diplomas.
Absolutely.
And one of my friend's sons is playing on the baseball team, and I don't know if you guys have heard. They won.
They won. Nice.
won.
That's awesome.
They won.
Yeah.
So super exciting.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
12.1C, Healdsburg High School new course outline proposal for 24-25.
Yeah, so my show tonight is talk and then bring on another awesome educator to help back me up here. So this agenda item is the new course of bringing back theater to the high school. It's been a long time coming. It's been part of the master plan in terms of facilities and offering a robust arts program. And thankfully, our new assistant principal, John Weller, this is a passion of his. I'm sure you're going to hear it here in just a second when he comes up. He's got both personal and professional background in the arts. And he actually, more towards the beginning of the year, he bugged me about this. He's like, aren't we bringing back theater? And I was like, well, Frost Hall won't be ready until, a couple months after school starts, maybe September, October. So we're going to wait another year. And he's like, no, we should do it. And then we had some things happen. John Linker retired. We needed to hire a new English teacher. Often English teachers are also good drama and theater teachers, so we started reconsidering. And so here we are, and we're going to run theater next year. We've hired an exceptional teacher to teach this course, and she's trilingual. She's bilingual and bicultural, pardon me, and has some experience in producing theater productions in both English and Spanish. So we're hopeful that this course gets approved and she can move forward to actually instruct theater in the 24-25 school year. So I'm going to let Assistant Principal Weller come up and round us out and give us some more deeper information about this.
About what time in your life did you stop pretending and playing? When I remember in elementary school, we would be on the playground, we'd play Dukes of Hazzard. I'd always end up being like scrawny little kid on the playground, being pushed down in the dirt, or I'd be the criminal. I'd never be able to be Boss Hog or the cool guys, but I was one of them, and we'd play these games and we'd pretend. And then sometime in our lives, we can think back, there's a point where we stop pretending, we stop playing. But what does that play do? The play that we engage in as kids teaches us how to understand relationships, how to understand what to avoid. And there's a lot of research that shows that engaging in pretending to be other people, engaging in the activity of learning about characters, thinking about dialogue, and this also goes to reading literature, but increases our intelligence, our emotional intelligence to a super high level. And that research also can show that raising emotional intelligence raises success rates. So adults who have read a lot of literature or engaged in drama, engaged in this kind of play with character, with story, they oftentimes are very successful adults. And we also have students that want to earn an art credit because they need to for our A through G requirements. They have Art 1 and 2, Ceramics 1, 2, and 3, and they have band. Now, I'm a band geek. I did drama after school, but I found my place there. But I'm wondering how many of our students in our schools wouldn't find their place in the arts in band and wouldn't find their place in the arts in music, but may, by engaging in play, find their place in the arts and find the joy that they get to have. Growing community, building relationships, and also taking a huge risk by being someone else in front of their peers and their family and their community. So I see, especially with this opportunity with this new teacher, that we have an opportunity to really engage all aspects of our community in the gift of play, the depth of textual analysis and understanding what character means when it's coming off of a page, and then how to portray that character. And so I'm really excited about this, and after you approve it, we get to get this launched.
All right. Thank you. It's nice to have more options for students.
Yeah,
for sure.
any questions or comments?
Oh, you know I have some comments.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Weller, for just doing such a great job talking about some of the really important benefits of drama. And I feel like we have had a ton of community, a ton of community requests for performing arts at the high school. It's been my feeling, without being too negative, since we're heading into hopefully, getting a program rolling in a really wonderful way. That a school of our size that has so many wonderful resources, the fact that we didn't have performing arts was a real loss to our community these past few years. And I think the bond voters specifically looked forward to theater space based from our last bond. And so I'm so excited that this is happening and that we have a teacher that just looks so highly capable of giving us exactly the kind of program and education that, that our school, hopefully can have. And I just want to say, I've had many parents call me specifically and text me about this over the last few years. And it's been something that's been a long time coming. And I just really am so thrilled that this is happening. And so I'd like to make a motion whenever.
Well, this is just discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be
When it's
ready to
time.
make the
Sure.
motion once we're approving it.
It's yours.
I really think I just add that I think theater is such an amazing. There's so many parallels between life and theatrical production, and I know we're not talking about productions per se, although I hope those are very much in the future. That through drama, there's the opportunity to costume design, to build sets, to do stage management, to sell tickets, to promote things. Everybody's talents can work into the beauty of performance and events. And also performance and events are a big part of many of our lives and careers at some point. And so it's a real opportunity to make something happen, to watch it go well or watch it tank, all of the different things, and to really put yourself out there, use your creativity, use your executive function. So there's just so many ways that I think drama benefits students, and also it creates, in this case, a new community for our students that I think is very, very, very much needed at the high school and in our district for self-expression, and which you talked about so well. So thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys might be collaborating behind scenes because he's the leader to make this happen. And so much of what you said, of it's not just about the acting, but the production and the writing. And we've had some really robust conversations about, it's not just about the acting. Assistant Principal Weller, I think, is the right person to lead this. And we've just gotten so lucky that our teacher speaks Spanish, English, and American Sign Language, and she's ready to lean into that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and, coming down the pipe, as we see this happening, the engagement of students in this, my hope is that it is a student-centered program. It's not a teacher directing the productions, in charge of the set design, in charge of costume design, but it is community involvement, but with students leading that instead of adults telling students what to do. So students have a place where their true vision of what they want to do is centered. And then as we progress and hopefully add layers and levels to that theater, so theater 2, theater 3, whatever we're going to call it, that there's also opportunities for what you're talking about, set design, costume design, creation, whatever you want to call it.
Lighting, video. There's
Yeah.
so many ways that students with all different kinds of interests can contribute to a theatrical production and performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really super cool and really, I'm so appreciative and so happy that this is getting rolling, and really excited to see what the future of the department is, and who all the wonderful benefits that it's going to have for our students. And I also think there's opportunities for community involvement, because people love theater and love to see their kids participating in theater. And, we have a lot of supportive families around our band program. And I just totally see a future where we have those same kind of supportive families and the same supportive community for performance arts.
Thank you.
Yeah. And John, thank you for leading us down this road. So John's put a lot of work in. He's already got a mentor set up to support the teacher when she gets here. So he's got the vision for it. So we really appreciate it. And you and your expertise and your passion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and now students that have been taking theater at the junior high with Robin have a place to continue as well. So, yeah. Yeah. Writing their own works and yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. Next, we have 12.1D, Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Healdsburg.
Yeah, so this is another good news. This is a night of good news in the CNI land. We were able to get the renewal for the after-school program grant that comes through the CDE. So we've been working with the city for many, many, many years. I want to say we might be inching up on 2 decades, but it's a wonderful partnership between the school district and the community services department at the city of Healdsburg. So the grant has come in. We know we've been awarded the grant for the next 3 years to serve our TK through grade 8 students. So we're kind of doing 2 things here tonight. I'm going to invite Garrett and Rich from the city of Healdsburg up here to provide a presentation to give us a flavor of what happens, what is the after-school program, what does it entail, and in the board packet is the memorandum of understanding between the district in terms of the finances and running of the program, kind of the nitty-gritty to keep this going. So I just want to thank these gentlemen. They work long and others. They work long hours with kids who've been, in school all day, and they do their magic and provide a safe place and enrichment and a good time for our kids. So I'm going to go ahead and invite our partners from the city on up. There's a clicker here.
Hi, good evening. My name is Veronica Salas. I am the Recreation Coordinator for the City of Healdsburg, and Rich and I are here to provide you an overview of our ACES program. Rich Schwartz, Recreation Supervisor. Our after-school education and safety grant program is also referred to as ACES, and we provide after-school program care and homework help for TK through 2nd grade at the Healdsburg Elementary School. 3rd through 5th grade is held at Fitch Mountain Elementary School, and Club H is held at the Community Center. We operate 5 days a week from the end of the school day until 6 p.m. And you can see the number of students that are currently enrolled in each of the programs. Club H has historically been located at Healdsburg Junior High. It relocated to the Community Center in 2021 due to the construction that was happening at the junior high. HES and Fitch Mountain programs moved from the Community Center over to Healdsburg Unified School District after the renewal of the agreement in 2018-2019. This was received positively by families who expressed concern about their children, especially HES students, being transported off-site to the community center. The program is offered free of charge to participants enrolled in the Healdsburg Unified School District, and we have an application process that has attendance requirements, which parents sign and agree to those attendance requirements. We do provide a healthy afternoon snack that is provided by the district, and we assist with homework help and enrichment activities, STEM activities as well. Every day, the children are signed in by our staff and signed out by parents. The goals of the ACES grant are for us to be able to provide a safe and educational alternative for the children after school hours. We contribute to the students' academic improvement by providing academic support as well as complementary activities throughout the day. By doing so, we reduce the risk factors such as poor academic achievement and social and emotional factors to be able to foster their success in school.
On this chart, you'll see our activities throughout the day on a regular day and on minimum days at both Fitch Mountain and HES. And then the quality standards for expanded learning. This chart has a couple of them listed. It's a framework for the program assessment and improvement. Some of them are things like being safe and supportive, having a quality staff. We have collaborative partnerships, skill building, diversity, access and equity, things like that. And change this. Some of the things we do is we work, like I said, on skill building, physical and educational curriculum. We do team-oriented activities, STEAM programs. Our staff has ongoing professional development. We have team meetings. Those are usually done weekly. Meetings and trainings are provided by the Child Development and Youth Integrated Services. And we have a very bilingual staff, which helps with the kids each day. And we have continuous program improvements. We get feedback from the staff. We have meetings with parents and students and get feedback from them on things that they would like to improve on. The youth voice and leadership, which is participation in enrichment programs and activities. One of those is the Poetry Slam run by the librarian Greta, which is a great program. We have closed and secured the campus last year. It was the first year that we closed it partway through the year. And now the parents pick up at a central location at each site. The pickups prior to 5 o'clock must be called in on our site phone. And then we will meet the parent at the pickup gate. And then after 5 p.m., a staff member is assigned to the station. And as parents come, we then call and bring the kids to the gate. We have collaborative partnerships we have contracted instructors, such as we have a sewing teacher, Alexander Valley Film. They run a program, an enrichment program at our Club H for the junior high kids. Farm to Pantry, Junior Giants is one of our athletic enrichment programs. And then, like I said, the Poetry Slam with Greta. These are just some of the pictures of the kids having fun, doing fun kid things. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions.
I do have a couple of questions. What is your target enrollment number?
We'll take as many as we can get. We normally have anywhere around, for all the 3 sites combined, we normally have right around the 150 mark. But it comes down to availability of rooms. And then since we went back to the school, we just had a meeting at HES. And next year, it's going to be awesome with the rooms that we're going to be working out of. And then Fitch Mountain, we have a really good setup at Fitch Mountain as far as the classrooms we have there. We have, I believe it's 25 or 26 max per room. So if we go over those totals and there are things coming up that may allow us to go over those totals, some changes in the MOU. And if that happens, then we're going to have to find places to actually have this.
Yes. A little bit. So for the grant, the target is 84 students, TK through 5. They serve well over 100. We hit our attendance targets no problem. As Rich is explaining, the issue there is space. But I would say we turn away very few students.
Very
right?
few.
Like, yeah, maybe 1 or 2. And it's usually an attendance situation, not that we don't have room for them. The junior high has been problematic. It's been decreasing. We have anywhere from 6 to 12 students. The attendance target there is 24. I had inquired with many entities about, with declining enrollment, right? That attendance target was set decades ago when the school was much larger. And I said, now that we're much smaller, can that attendance targets decrease? And the answer was no. So we got a couple things going on. We're going to move the Club H back onto campus. We're going to try that again. And I'm thrilled that those conversations are happening. So, there's some space issues there that we're having to deal with. So we think that might increase the numbers. The Boys and Girls Club is going to be undergoing some major construction over the next couple of years. So we anticipate, that's not by like anything awesome we did, but the reality is there's going to be middle school students that aren't, there's not great space for the next 2 years at Boys and Girls Club. So we anticipate that'll go up. We've been able to make attendance targets since I've been in the district. So we get our full grant. We hope that we will be able to do that starting next year because attendance targets have been off the table because of COVID. They're coming back next year where you have to hit or your grant will be decreased. What they've told us is that you don't lose your whole grant. It's not like all or nothing. It's decreased by the amount of students you serve. So we're watching those junior high numbers and trying to make some improvements, bringing them back, working a little bit more closely with our families to increase enrollment.
And I was wondering what we do for recruitment at the junior high specifically. Like, is there like an assembly where you talk about what's offered in that program? Because I just think the more that they know and how, the more enticing we can make it.
Yeah, they can probably add. Things I know about is Nicole and I, or Principal Odetto and I were just talking about it. She's going to be going to the 5th grade parent night. It's next week. And it'll be in the slide deck for that. Nice. So when she's talking to current 5th grade parents about what middle school is going to look like, that's a slide that's offered. These folks do great at tabling at all of our events. So when we're registering, when we have an ELAC meeting, for example, they'll table. And I think that that's a great way to let folks know about it. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
Just one of the things with the junior high age kids, having them at the school, there's more activities for them to do there than there is for them to do at our community center. There's some things we need to clean up if we can bring them back to the school, but that age group doesn't like to get on a bus and go to the far end of town, and then a lot of them walk home, and now they're all the way over there, and our enrollment is like a third to a fourth of what it used to be when we were at the school. So those are one of the reasons why we would like to go back to the school if it was possible.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 12.1 E, new and revised Healdsburg Junior High School elective courses.
Things are always hopping at the middle school. We've got 5 new courses for our students to choose from, iterating on student choice, right? Principal Odetto does a great job of getting input from students about what they want for electives and also polling her faculty to understand what their strengths and their interests and their backgrounds are. So once again, she's done that and worked with her staff to offer some new courses for next year. You all as a governing body don't approve these courses at the junior high level. This is more informational, so you know what we're doing. So Principal Odetto is going to have a little description here of each of the courses, and then we'll open up to questions.
Hi, good evening. I almost say good morning every time. To speak a little bit to Club H real quick, it's really hard. I see the biggest issue with junior high kids doing an after-school program is a lot of them are at an age where they don't need after-school care or to be babysat, quote unquote. And so the hardest, if a lot of them could walk home, most of our students ride, bike, scooter to school. And so it's hard to get them engaged. I mean, we offer a tutoring session 2 days a week after school, and even just wrangling them to get them to stay on campus is difficult. So I think that speaks to a little bit why it's harder to get the enrollment for that age group. But going forward here, next year, our elective courses. So we're going to be offering 5 new classes, switched a little bit up, but kept a lot the same. So our first course we're going to be adding is Avid 6. We currently have Avid 7 and 8 already on campus. This came about from our 6th grade team doing a ton of work this year, working on the transition with our 5th grade team at FMC, recognizing that the transition from elementary to junior high is a huge jump, and trying to figure out ways that we could try to bridge that gap. One of the ways being our 6th grade team went to visit 5th grade classrooms and vice versa to try to work through what can we implement at the junior high in the beginning of the year? What can the elementary kind of implement to try to get them ready? So this course is actually going to be taught by Mr. Aaron Basita, who's coming to us from 5th grade to 6th grade. So he has some great insight on what those skills might need to be. Focusing on communication, time management, organization, really trying to stop some of the pitfalls of going from 2 classes to 7 and having 7 different bosses and a whole bunch of transitions and craziness. So that's where that class came from. And we're excited to have our 3 avid 6, 7, and 8 teachers work together and really build a comprehensive program. Comic book design, our students are really interested in graphic novels. So comic book design and animation is going to be a new course. They will be creating animation, drawing comics, making storyboards, developing plot, possibly acting out some of their creations. And this is a really like a spin on art that we already offer, but a little bit different for a different niche of kids. So they're excited about that. We currently don't have an HJH newspaper. So journalism, our next course, is going to take on creating a newspaper for our school, really focusing through the lens of appropriate media. Our junior high students are very much engrossed in social media. So having them learn how to fact check a source and present appropriate and realistic media to their peers. They're really interested in interviewing their teachers or their peers for segments in the interview or in the newspaper. So we haven't quite nailed down how we're going to deliver the newspaper yet. We're going to pilot a few online programs next year, but eventually the goal would be to get a paper type newspaper out for students. And then 4th there, we are going to be offering Spanish for heritage speakers. So Miss Maria, who was our bilingual office assistant, now Spanish teacher at the junior high, her and I talk a lot about what it means to be a bilingual student. And she's very passionate about kind of bridging the gap from home language to school and increasing academic discourse in academic language for our students who might already speak Spanish in the household, but increasing their ability to feel comfortable with reading, writing, speaking, and hopefully giving them the confidence and the skills to advance in their Spanish journey. I would say already the students that speak Spanish at home, they're already progressing to about Spanish 2 when they get to the high school. We do a pretty comprehensive interview process for all of our 8th graders. And so they're already landing around Spanish 2, some Spanish 3. And we're hoping that more experience through reading and writing in that class will give them the confidence to progress. And then lastly, strength and conditioning. Our older students, more so than our younger students, are really interested in going to the gym and weightlifting. And it's a conversation that we have about appropriately doing so. And I mean, I hear them all the time talking about how much they're benching, and I'm just kind of laughing. So appropriately teaching them how to weightlift, how to gain strength through cardiovascular exercise and strength training and tracking their progress and goal setting. And we've had a lot of interest in a little bit more about how to become fit. So we're going to add that course as well. So exciting changes, new stuff to add, and we're still keeping some of the old. So any questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Odetto. When I read this lineup in the packet, I was so excited, and building off of all the amazing new electives and existing electives that continue to be great. This is so exciting because, as I said at the meeting today, I just think so many of people's lifelong interests are sparked when they are in junior high school and middle school age. And so having a lot of opportunities to try new things is really, really important. And, find out what you don't like and find out what you do like. And I mean, I think the whole list is terrific, and you did a great job telling us about it. But I especially think that strength and conditioning is a really exciting elective because I also think there's an equity component to learning your way around a gym and learning your way around just kind of participating in gym culture, for lack of a better way. Just knowing what you're looking at and being safe about your choices in the gym is something that there's no reason why that has to wait until high school or that it's reserved for athletes. Because really it's a lifelong skill that, go to Park Point right now and you'll see people all the way up to 90 years old working out. So it's really cool. Thank you.
Sure. I worry about the etiquette piece of it. So I'm we have to make sure that everyone's being respectful and responsible when they're in a space with people that they may not know when they're all sharing equipment and all that kind of stuff.
The etiquette piece is really, really important. And then the real, yes, respectful of others and safe.
Yeah.
And also, I think long-term injury is another thing that I've thought about with my kids. The kind of idea that you would go in there and just start cruising around on those machines is really scary, given that you can start a back injury at 13 that dogs you forever by, not having correct form. And, so it's really exciting because it's a really important skill set, just like riding a bike or, whatever, swimming, so many other things.
Really. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Healdsburg Unified School District English Language Multilingual Learner Master Plan.
So this is before you tonight as an action item. I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's also always an iteration, right? It's always a document that we're adding to. And, Chris and I have had lots of conversations about, is this the newest iteration, and adding to it constantly. I want to thank the board for, helping us to take our time to make this better every time we look at it. And, from me to you and the entire community, I intend for this to be a live document that we are constantly iterating on. There's rarely a week that goes by that I don't open the thing and we change something in it, we add to it. I think there's been some very good improvements, and a lot of that has come from feedback from you all in terms of graphics. There's some additional graphics in there. There is a robust summary for families, and that was a suggestion of the board. We have a separate document that's in the packet now, the multilingual learner path to English proficiency, that we can use in ELAC meetings, DLAC meetings, and parent-teacher conferences. Really, it could be used in a lot of different ways. This document that clearly shows how, what is from beginning to, what is the journey as a multilingual learner. And in fact, Principal Doherty asked me for it the other day, and I said, well, it's not a board approved, so you can use it internally and, we can talk about it. But we're really excited to put these documents into action. And when we welcome our new staff, when we welcome new administrative staff, that we have a really robust set of guiding philosophies and practices that we can go back to. So right now it's piecemeal, I'll be honest, right? It's meeting with me, it's meeting with Chris, it's meeting with veteran teachers, and to have all of it together in a place that at least is a starting point of this is how we do things around here. These are our practices, our policies, here's our paperwork, feels really good. So I'm hoping we can get this passed, but know that this is a working document. This isn't meant to be printed off and never looked at again. It's meant to be a live document that we're consistently iterating on.
I do want to say publicly, for the record, that I was very disappointed that it was brought forth a couple of months ago when it had so many errors in it and it wasn't clearly looked at. There were, graphs and data that was not even correct. So that was really disappointing that it was brought forward for approval. And I'm glad that we asked for a study session because it did need a lot of revision, and it continued to need revision. And so, I'm concerned that I don't feel like it was given the attention that it needed to get. So I just want that on the public record because I was very disappointed that we were asked to approve a plan that just had so many errors in it and not accurate data for our district. That was concerning. So I just want that stated.
I understand. Thank you.
We also have the parent guide, which came out in the study session, I think.
Yeah,
and that was a great addition that I think will be useful to parents, and we'll get that translated right away so it can get in parents' hands. So,
both documents are translated. We did a master translation maybe 6 months ago just to see where we're at and starting to work on pagination. We stopped translating it because it was being iterated on so quickly. So it should take us a couple of days to get a final Spanish version and a clean English version. And, respectfully, Araceli Roma Flores, there were typos in it, and I apologize for that. And, I hear you, and I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, as we know, plans, because I've written some, they often become, binders on a shelf. So I'm really more interested in the actual implementation of the plan and to make sure that we're properly monitoring the success of our students and our programs.
Yeah, and I would like to, either in August or September, talk a little bit about what the principals and I and how we'll be using this document in terms of an informational piece for new staff and, for example, a new principal coming in, right, to have a document and how we're training on it and how we're using it as a district leadership team to not only inform current practice, but how to improve. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Do we have a motion to approve the EL Master Plan draft?
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have credit recovery Plato course list for the 24-25 school year.
So this is an exercise we undergo every year. Our credit recovery is largely done in two ways. One is the summer school program, which we're currently enrolling for. It looks like we're going to have a nice, robust, both elementary and high school summer learning program. But another way we offer students to recover credit is during the school year through online coursework. And so the list that is in the packet, you'll see we've done just like we do in board documents. The strikeout is where, something has changed. So I'll highlight here. It used to be called American Government. It's now called U.S. Government. So it's a name change. There's been a bit of content that has changed. And so a thorough review of the list, particularly for the CTE coursework, was done this year with Principal Weller. I appreciate he worked really hard on this with me and the counselors and a few other faculty members to evaluate the courses that are offered. We use a program through a company called Edmentum. So Edmentum is a big, giant software company, and then Plato is their online coursework. And so we took a really good look at their course outlines, and they're not in here because they're proprietary. I can't post them because then people could take it. But as staff, we can log in and see what the course outlines are. And there is a link in here where you can get a paragraph or two description that the public can see. So you'll see some of its name change, but some changes there in the CTE offerings. I want to point out child development and parenting. We had a child development class on the HHS campus. We are not offering that for next year for a number of reasons. Most primarily is that the class that was articulated with at SRJC is no longer being offered. So they wouldn't allow us to have an articulation agreement if they're not offering it. And the teacher also is needed to teach a different course. So I bring that up in that the CTE courses that we offer are chosen specifically because they are not taught by our CTE teachers, right? We want our kids to take our courses, and CTE is one of these places where we can usually get it in, but there are times where kids need to take an online CTE course. They just don't have time in their schedule. So we make a point in here not to offer courses that are taught by our faculty, right? We don't want our culinary teacher to have to compete with an online version of culinary, for example. This is really directed at meeting high school graduation requirements too, right? That's what we're trying to do here. This isn't necessarily to make sure students are A to G, although some students improve, and that's the other thing that we encourage our students. When you get a D in an AG class, that makes you ineligible, right? So if you get a D in Spanish, you get a D in English, you all of a sudden are not applying to a four-year university. And so we use this courseware also for students who need to improve a grade. So that's another offering, is not just credit makeup, but if you took a stumble and you earned, even a C- or a C, and you want to improve it, you've matured or you get the content better, or life has improved, right? A lot of times we know kids' grades are out of their hands. And so primarily used for high school graduation, but we can offer it as well for grade improvement. So like I said, we do this every year. It's an action item for tonight. And yeah, any questions? I think that's all I need to say.
Some of these are, I'm sure, going to be very popular with the students, so it's great.
I'll move. Yes, I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Erin. Okay, next we have update to Healdsburg High School Principles of Engineering course.
Yeah, so this course has been on the books for a long time. You might remember earlier in the school year in November, December, the teacher Bernadette Calhoun was here with me. We were revising and re-upping the course, the Principles of Engineering. It's a stock course that we use through Project Lead the Way. As we've gone through the process to get that reapproved by the UC, Counselor Kelly Mace brought something to our attention that we weren't aware of and really wasn't an offering that we can tell previously. So I'll try to explain here is that this course, when originally approved by you all, can count for third-year science for graduation. So in Healdsburg, we have very high graduation requirements, and students have to get through 3 years of science. So it can count for that. It can also count for a CTE class. And I shouldn't say it's or, right? So students can't get 10 units of CTE and 10 units of science, but depending on what they need, and the counselor will help them figure this out, do you need it as a CTE course or do you need it as a third-year science? The reason I'm back here tonight is that Kelly Mace figured out when she was looking at the Project Lead the Way materials, the promotional materials, that the CSUs have a new rule that this course is allowed for the second year of physical science. So in order to make an application to a four-year university, you need either 2 or 3 years. The CSUs require 2 years, 1 biological and 1 physical science. The UCs require 3. So if we have a student who took biology and passed it, took chemistry and didn't pass it, or got a D, this is another course that they could take in order for a physical science to be eligible to apply to a CSU. Obviously, we're going to continue to enroll all our 10th graders in chemistry, right? They will still take chemistry as a matter of course. It's not, oh, you can take engineering, but if chemistry didn't go your way and you want to apply to a CSU, this provides an option for you to remain eligible to apply to the CSUs. So what we're asking you, what you have in the form, is there's another box there checked for physical science. So it's not just CTE, it's the third year science and the physical science. And like I said, that's only for CSU application, not UC. Clear as mud?
No, but it's great. I mean, it's great that there's options for students.
Yeah, so it's a three-prong option for students. I mean, it's a really amazing course in that way, and that it can serve a lot of different needs for different kids.
Yeah.
Chemistry did not go my way.
Same.
So,
Or
yeah.
mine.
yeah, nice to have options.
That would have been nice a couple years
Right.
ago.
And my, I had multiple conversations with high school administration and counselors about this is not replacing chemistry. We are auto-enrolling 9th grade in biology, 10th grade in chem. This option of it being a second year physical science will only be offered once the student has challenged chemistry.
Great.
They assure me that that's how it's going to be.
I move to approve this Principles of Engineering course.
Thank you.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Reports. Do we have a HEF report?
We do not.
Okay. HADA report? No. Okay. CSEA report?
Nope.
Student trustee report? No.
They won 2-1. Yeah, that's this report. Yeah.
Board of trustee report?
I don't really know if this is a report, and I've already talked a lot during this meeting, but I just wanted to say that we're now in the 1,000 days of May with many, many activities happening. And I mean, I'm hyperbolic. That's one of my signatures. So like 1,000,000 days of May. But I just want to say, like, there's so many exciting, fun things going on at school. And to wrap up the year, both social and community-oriented and academic, the kids finished up their state testing, which is always exciting and stressful, I know, for everybody. So I just wanted to say thanks, since by the time we have our next meeting, school's going to be over, to everyone, especially principals and teachers and staff, for another great year. And so many fun, awesome things happened this year. It really felt so refreshingly post-COVID. So, knock on wood. And so I just wanted to say thanks, and we're looking forward to band concerts tomorrow night and next week, and Spring Fling, and Run for Funds was amazing, and so many things going on. So great job. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you to all the teachers and classified staff, and of course our admin team as well. It is the month of appreciation, so I just want to thank you for all of your work and support of our students and families and staff. So thank you all. All right.
5-minute break.
5-minute break. Let's be back. School business, 12.2A, potential compensation for Healdsburg Unified School District Board of Trustees.
All right. So this came about through conversations with specifically Araceli Roma Flores, and I think it was with Crystal at the time, or was it you? I don't remember, but Araceli is the one who brought it up. And we are here just to throw out ideas. This is just a brainstorming session, and then get some direction from you and potentially bring something that we could approve possibly in June. I don't know that it's a rush to get it done in June. I think the bigger concern, just speaking for Trustee Roma Flores, is possibly getting something in place to attract folks to want to be on the school board, because it is a large time commitment, and not just in terms of meetings, but you get these 100-page packets that we hope you read and that you're versed in, so that you know what we're talking about and discussing at the meeting. So it's a big time commitment, and we'd like to incentivize it for the citizens of Healdsburg to want to participate. So we did some comparisons with other neighboring districts, and you can see them here. It runs the gamut of no compensation at all to small stipends, and then access to health benefits on varying levels. And so I will point out St. Helena and Windsor, and then Santa Rosa City is actually not on this. They also have stipends as well as benefits. And so that is kind of the idea behind what we're going to look at today. We decided to cost it out, what it would look like if we were going to do both. We could do none. We could do one of them. We could phase it in over time. It's really up to the board. So there was previous compensation that we discovered. Used to be a whopping $50 a meeting. Back in 2004, because at that time the district was going through some cuts, and I think it was coming under this, a few years later, I know the state had to come in, and there was a minder that actually worked directly with the CBO on a daily basis. And so they eliminated the board compensation. We're in a much different place now, and so we thought we could resurrect the conversation. So potential options. Ed Code for a district our size permits us to go up to $240 a month on a stipend. And so that would be the maximum we could do. We could do less. Just as a comparison, we did some investigation. City Council gets a stipend just north of $1,700 a month. And I don't know the laws pertaining to that. So and nor do I know how much time they have to put in. Mark Thiemann could probably talk better to that. But they are able to have a larger stipend than a school board is. And then there's the idea of benefits. Some districts do offer optional benefits to trustees commensurate with the employee benefits. I want to put a little asterisk there that it's not in the presentation. We need to do a little more investigation, because our benefit carriers, and most now, don't provide options, and I don't know how that would apply to the board. So for our employees, if you're an employee of the district full-time, you have to take our benefits. And so I don't know if we included trustees in the employee group, if they would be bound to take benefits or not. So there's some investigation and questions to be answered around that still. And then we looked at what it would look like in terms of costs to the district, and then the benefit plan, so you would all understand how our benefits are structured. So a stipend for $240 a month would be a net cost of $13,200 to pay each trustee for 11 months. So the benefits would then, if you look at, and it depends on how trustees took the benefits. If we use Kaiser Wellness, which is kind of the lower mid-tier Kaiser plan, to cost it out, it would if trustees were involved in district benefits, they'd be able to choose which plan they were taking. But the cost so you'll see these large costs, those are total costs if the whole board did those, right? So single coverage in Kaiser Wellness would be $12,279 per trustee per year, or if all 5 took it, $61,000 to the district. And then you can see the totals that go down there. And then dental and vision are also covered. So dental would be $1,459 per trustee per year, and vision would be $253 per trustee per year. These are based on this year's rates, and we know they have changed, and we've actually gotten the new rates, and just ballparking, Kaiser is around 9 or 10% higher now for next year. Is that correct, Debbie? 6.7% across the board? Okay, so across the board, it's about a 6.7% difference, but we didn't have the rates when we started talking about it, so. I think Kaiser's 9.7 and the Blue Cross rates were 5. Yeah. So it depends again on which benefits you would take. So the costs both for the trustee, because the cost of the district would go up, and then you would have if we covered it like the employees are covered, you'd have an out-of-pocket cost as well, unless you did the single plan, if we had full coverage there. So again, these are the total costs per year. If we did the full stipend, all 5 trustees without dependents took single coverage, it'd be around $83,000. If all trustees, so the most expensive cost of the district potentially could be $94,000. That said, I know we have 2 trustees who have no dependents right now, so that's not going to happen right away. So the cost to the district would be somewhere in between there, right? And then this is a breakdown for you of the various benefit plans that we have. And so you see here, we didn't keep the employee and the employer, but you see the costs. It's not in the slide, the contributions. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't happen. We wanted to show you, so for instance, if you were on Kaiser Wellness with Cairo, $959, and I think our current cap's at $938, so it doesn't quite cover the whole thing, so there would be an out-of-pocket cost for each trustee monthly on that, but most of it is covered. So those are the options. One, to put the ball back in your court for discussion on where you see things. I do think it is a valid conversation to try to elicit more participation on the school board. We've had contested elections, and then we've had lots of non-contested elections. But certainly the work that you all put in is worth more than the bottle of water that we give you. So,
and the jacket.
Yeah. Any questions, clarifications, or thoughts?
I just want to thank you, because I do think it's important to make it worth people's time. I mean, I really would like to see people on the board that have children in our schools. And I think that making it so that they can have childcare, pay for childcare, or a meal for their family before they come to a meeting, I think would be really helpful and enticing perhaps some younger families to put their hat in the ring for the board position. And so as I'm completing my term, I want to make sure that we are making this enticing for families to consider.
Yeah.
I think adding on to Araceli's point, and I've mentioned this before in meetings, like closed, where I think this money could definitely help with people who have children who could use this money for childcare, or even if they live in close to the out of bounds area where they can use this money for gas, right? And just to get here or wherever our meetings are that month or that. But yeah, so I think this is good.
Yeah, the more enticing, the better. So I'd like to go for the full package for future trustees.
I completely agree with everything that's already been said, and I can just speak from personal experience and say that I know that, earlier in my term, certainly, that stipend would have been very helpful for childcare. My kids are getting older now, but I know that, in my cohort of parents over the years, everyone is stretched pretty thin, and to take on such a large volunteer commitment that has no real sort of cap on how much time and energy you might spend on it, and no financial assistance at all, is something that I think a lot of people would just dismiss out of hand, given that they have so many responsibilities at home and you know, for work and in their lives, period. And so I think it gives a little bit of, I don't want to use the word legitimacy, because I think there's and an entirely volunteer thing can also be very legitimate. But I just think that it maybe just gives people a little bit of a help in offsetting costs related to such a large and serious, you know, I think anybody who would step up to do this would take it really quite seriously. And especially in the year when you're president, it is a substantial time commitment and a substantial energy commitment as well to stay current, to, you know, do all of the things that we do. And while it is gratifying to do it for free, it's also gratifying to do it with a little bit of help. So I really, this is the first that I had seen of the numbers related to benefits, and I feel like I would be happy to discuss it a little bit more. I want to make sure that whatever it is that we're committing to is something that is not a big financial liability for the district. And so, you know, I guess I just would like a little bit more information about what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
I certainly think that it's reasonable to think about benefits and looks like something that other districts are doing. But I just want to make sure that whatever we're doing is something that's very responsible to the district's budget, you know, both over the short term and certainly over the medium term for a 4-year term, you know, that, because I would love to see parents feel that this is a viable, you know, way to spend their time.
Sure.
And it's really a big ask when there's no, you know, help involved.
Working backwards process-wise, ideally we'd like to have this out in public prior to August when you have to put your name in for candidacy.
I think that's really important.
So maybe what we do is we can look at the different rates for benefits that we've just received, include those, get the answer to the question on can you opt out as a trustee, and then have one more discussion at our special board meeting in June, and then approve it at the final board meeting in June, whichever direction we go. Does that sound good process-wise?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that sounds
Chris.
great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 12.2B, cost sharing request from the city of Healdsburg.
Okay, so this is a wholly different topic. We, as you know, we have a football team that plays at Recreation Park, and we are the only football user at Recreation Park at this point because youth football in Healdsburg doesn't exist, although there is a movement to resurrect the Bulldogs. So the park is old, and I think we've been there playing 80 years, and those goalposts that are currently on the football field are probably original, if not at least 50 years old. And they are bent and misshapen and need to be replaced. The city has graciously agreed to cost share with us. In fact, and the Prune Packers as well, as they have an interest in getting the goalpost completely removed for their play. So currently what happens is we play football season. When season is over, at some point, we pay for a crane to come in and move one of the goalposts, the one that is nearest to University Avenue, and move it off the field, kind of up against the fence. It's still right there on the field, but it's not interfering with play. The far goalpost stays, and is, you know, if you didn't know the field and you were going for a foul ball in baseball, full bore, you could run into it, and that's a concern of the Prune Packers. But we can't get a crane on the field to take that other goalpost out because usually it's wet by the time we're done with football season. So these new goalposts actually are hydraulic, and it just requires pushing some buttons and one or two guys to disassemble them, so they just kind of go down on their own. So the cost of the crane that we incur every year to move the one goalpost and put it back is around $2,500, $3,000 yearly. The city is asking, I think the entire project, if I remember right, is $53,000. They're asking for us to cost share 10,000 of that. We'll recoup that cost in 4 years of not renting the crane. And it's a much easier way for the city personnel to be able to move those goalposts, both to accommodate our teams and the Prune Packers as well as their recreational opportunities. So it seems like a reasonable request, but enough money that we wanted to bring it to you to be able to approve.
I will move forward with approving this request.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mark, thank you for working all that out. Appreciate it.
Okay, 12.3 personnel, declaration of need for 24-25.
All right. So my first item here is our declaration of need for 24-25. And so this is something that we bring forward every year. And as you know, we do have to bring waivers and permits to you for different positions that we may need to have you approve. Like last year, we had the provisional permit for Matias Lopez, and there's a few other permits that I will be bringing in June for some other teachers. So this is just something we do annually just to make sure we have them on record for this CTC, and so that they can acknowledge that we are anticipating the need for some permits. So with your approval, I'd like to have this approved.
I'll move to approve the declaration of need for 2024-2025.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, Karen. A new job description, behavior technician.
Okay, this is actually a second read. If you recall last, and it's usually would be on consent for this final read, but I put it on action because I made some edits to it, and the edits that you see is we changed the title from behavior case manager to behavior technician. And we did that because this position isn't actually managing any staff members. So we felt it was important to take that title off and make it technician. And then after reading a little bit more, I did change. We won't have a behavior specialist next year because we are hiring a school psychologist instead, because Alex Goitin is leaving the district, moving on. He's actually moving out of the area. And so I made those revisions as well. And so there's no other changes to this. It just was the title and then just revising the behavior specialist in there. So with your approval, I'd like to have this job description approved.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Changes. So appreciate you doing that. And I move to approve the new job description for behavior technician versus
Thank you.
case manager.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you.
All in
Thank you.
favor? Aye. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you.
And the final item I'm bringing to you is our MOU between Healdsburg Unified School District and the Healdsburg Area Teachers Association. And this MOU is a new salary schedule for our speech, language, and pathologist position for 24-25. And this revision basically is really to be more competitive with other salary schedules for this position throughout Sonoma County. We found that our salary schedule just really wasn't aligning with other salary schedules. And I know that Mr. Vanden Heuvel did speak to you about this, I think, previously. And so this was something that we talked with HADA leadership, and they really agreed with us that this was necessary to do. And actually last year we did have a speech pathologist remotely because we had a hard time finding someone. And we have a really good lead with someone, and we're hoping to kind of close the deal soon. And so anyways, we just kind of want to have your blessing on this and add this to our salary schedules. So
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to HADA for agreeing to this so quickly. It helps us solve a big problem. And if approved, we can now validly offer this person the higher salary. So
Yeah, that's exciting. It's nice to have our own folks providing the services versus having to have consultants.
absolutely, it's nothing better than that.
Great. So, do you have a motion to approve?
I will move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
All right.
All right. Any Board of Trustee reports, comments, requests for information?
Yeah, I have, I would like for us to look at the cell phone policy at the junior high and the high school, kind of in light of new research on mental health and phone use and frankly, kind of classroom management. And I know that the schedule is a little bit off because we're coming up on the end of the school year, and probably we want to look at some districts that have made kind of further changes to their practices. I actually feel like our policies are probably in line with, but that in practice, I know some schools are implementing using those neoprene cases for phones. And I would personally, I have had outreach from community members asking me to raise this. And I feel like we probably just want to look at some of the districts that have taken a firmer stance on and have practices in place that work, and what they're doing to not make it a hardship for the teachers and the administration to implement new, tougher policies on cell phone use during the day. And I know that's something that's probably going to take several months, but I'd really like to get the ball rolling. I think it's important, and I think there's a real movement of parents that would like to see cell phone use during the day be taken off the teachers' plates, frankly, and be also kind of a time when students are paying attention to what's happening around them versus what's happening around them, plus what's happening on their phones, or just what's on their phones. Mm-hmm. So I'd really like to see that move forward and have that agendized at some point when we're ready to talk about it.
Yeah, let us do some exploration into what's being done in different places, and we can come back with some ideas. Possibly August at the latest. So, yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chris.
Okay. No need to recess to close session. Our next regular board meeting is Thursday, June 20th, 2024, here at City Hall. Deadline to submit agenda items is Monday, June 10th, and Wednesday, June 12th for all backup materials are due. And we are adjourning at 8:01.